a whopping 21 years as the frontman for Australian rock royalty Powderfinger, who scored themselves 18 ARIA awards, sold over 2.5 million records, had 5 #1 album debuts, going out on a high in 2010.
We've decided after much deliberation and agonising that after this final tour we'll call it a day.
It was during Powderfinger's hiatus in 2005 that Bernard released his solo album Tea and Sympathy, which not only debuted at #1 and scored a few arias, it also delivered this track to the top of Triple J's Hottest 100. Now, after some quality family time in Spain and some studio time in Los Angeles, Bernard Fanning is finally back in Australia and has released his second studio album, Departures, which, by the sound of it, is going to snare him a few more awards.
Please welcome Bernard Fanning. We just heard in the package there, you've just had a bit of family time in Spain, recording time in America. Life seems pretty good.
Yeah, it's been pretty good actually. Had about a year and a half in Madrid.
How was that?
It was great. It was really fun. I worked as well.
Were you like pulling beers at a pub, like when a lot of people go backpacking there?
Yeah, I did that as well, yeah.
You're working on a new album. With, how's that with 2 children under 4? I mean,
it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. Thank you. Well, for being honest.
Because I was doing it at home as well.
Oh,
I was doing it in a room next to the kitchen, which was... We were living in an apartment that was built in the 60s, and in those days, they used to have a maid's room in Spain, and my studio was the maid's room, so it was about 3 metres by 2 metres.
So you're trying to tell a 2-year-old to be quiet because there's a genius at work.
That's right, yeah. And I'm trying to tell her that in Spanish as well. I can't do.
There's some beautiful tracks on the album and some very moving ones too. There's some in there about the death of your brother in 2002. I mean, how hard is that for you to write, or is it cathartic to write that? What's the process like?
Well, I kind of set out not writing that stuff. My dad passed away just after Powderfinger finished as well, and so that song, it's called Departures, which is the title track. That is talking about both my brother and my dad, and I was kind of trying not to write about that, but that song just arrived and came out, you know. So it sort of deserved its place because the rest of the record is quite different to that. It's much more upbeat.
Can you perform that song without getting emotional? Or?
Yeah, I think I'm just, at the moment, because I'm not used to performing it or anything, I'm just really concentrating on playing it properly and all that. So maybe down the track, I might lose it. I doubt it. I mean, you can't really invest that much emotional energy in a song every night. It's when you're writing that's when that comes along. You know, that's when it's actually quite an emotional feeling to be writing something like that.
Now, the music business, it's safe to say, has changed a lot since Powderfinger first hit the scene. How has that changed the experience of bringing out a new album? Like, do people come up and ask you to sign a USB stick? Like, how does it work?
That could happen. You know, last time, when I released Tea and Sympathy, Twitter and Facebook didn't exist.
Wow.
So I didn't even have those as part of my kind of promotional team.
Your way.
Yeah, all that abuse, all that online bullying that I'm now getting. But so yeah, it's changed a lot. I mean, especially in the promotion of it, and now the way music's delivered, people buy stuff digitally most of the time. You know?
Well, how about you? Because you love music as well as making it. Do you still go down and buy vinyl, or do you just download it onto your iPhone?
I do both. So if I want to listen to something, like if I want to listen to the heavy production side of it, then I would buy a CD, but ordinarily just by pure convenience I would download it. And you know, there's all that stuff like Spotify and all those different kind of stations now that are kind of like radio, I suppose. But I mean, I know I have used a couple of those things a couple of times, but more like a listening post when I used to go to Harlequin Records at Indooroopilly Shopping Town and listen to, like, you know, side A of Best of the Solos by Kiss. You know, and decide whether I wanted to buy it or not.
No, you are old, aren't you?
So what do rock stars sign these days? Because you don't really have albums. The CDs are in decline. What do you sign?
Come on, Todd, breasts.
So they still have breasts. That's interesting. That's good.
You're touring, obviously, you're touring on your own. Do you have fun touring on your own?
Yeah, I have a band.
Yeah,
of course I'm not completely alone.
Of course you're not on your own.
But yeah, it's...
With the kids? The kids come too?
They'll come occasionally when we're in it somewhere for a few nights, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just too much of an operation to move the team around.
It is, mate, and that's what you tell your wife.
Sorry, we're only here for one night.
Just before we go, we have to ask, and I know you're going to hate us asking, Powderfinger, will they be reforming? We're asking on behalf of all your fans that will be annoyed if we don't ask.
Certainly not at this stage. No.
Okay.
No, but we get asked that a lot. It's incredible,
funny,
actually. I get asked it pretty much every day.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Do you know what? I think you'd be upset if people weren't asking. You know?
yeah, people are still very, very kind, and there's a lot of affection for the band out there, so it's great.
Well, they can start getting excited about this Bernard Fanning album, Departures. Head to our website for all of the tour details as well. The album is out now. Would you please thank the awesome Bernard Fanning for swinging by?